This is a podcast from The Bugle.
Our scene opens on Eli Cross, a grizzled water policeman, eyes like glints of dark glass in a ruggedly handsome frame. He looks into the middle distance, the fairy lights twinkling on trees in the village. Here is a man who clearly has a complicated relationship with Christmas and crime. He taps out his vape pipe and then wipes up the puddle of vape fluid from the battered wooden table. Everyone in Seaside Cove loves Christmas, except me. Christmas and I, let's just say we've had our differences. Ever since I took over as the harbour's water patrol, my job's been pretty straightforward actually. Arresting illegal fishermen, kicking pervert dolphins out of the women's change rooms, swearing off love after my heartbreaking divorce, and jailing the occasional underworld kraken who's got his innumerable tentacles right up the arse of government corruption. It's a life, keeping things running smoothly. But this Christmas, call it an old seaman's instinct, but I can feel something coming, something stirring in the deep. My guess, harpoon to my head, it's a mermaid coming to teach me to love Christmas. A mafia kraken coming for revenge. Or it's the Gargle! Welcome to the Gargle, the sonic glossy magazine to the Bugle's audio newspaper for a visual world. I'm your host, Alice Fraser, and your guest editors for this week's edition of the magazine that brings you all of the news and none of the politics are James Nokise.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm so cold.
And Tom Neenan.
Hello. Can I ask why are you cold? Where are you based currently?
I'm in Edinburgh, Tom, and I'm meant to be in the South Pacific, and it's -1, which is not traditional Pacific temperatures.
I'm so sorry. Yes, fair enough. Very cold. Oh dear. Yeah, that's not ideal at all.
I was hoping we'd get global warming. Like, if we're gonna have this kind of disaster, can it just be, warmer somewhere? But no,
no,
it's snowing in November.
Before we rug up and charge into the snowstorm that is this week's top stories, let's have a look at the front cover of the magazine. The front cover this week is the new Gladiator sequel. The entire cast of the new Gladiator sequel in an arena being forced to kill one another. And that is also the satirical cartoon for this week. Doing double duty. Which brings us to this week's top story. Top story this week is that Telegram billionaire Pavel Durov, the extremely interesting character, is giving free sperm and IVF to women who want it. He's paying women to take his sperm. Tom Neenan, you're our semen correspondent. Can you unpack this story for us?
I've somehow found myself with that role, and I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not sure what to complain yet. First of all, I'm going to blow your mind. All sperm is free. That is my economic advice for you, straight off the top. But yes, in Billionaires Can't Be Normal news, this is the fact that Pavel Durov, who made all his money off Telegram, I love it when I see someone who's become incredibly rich by making something that I know what Telegram is, but I've never interacted with it in my entire life. In my opinion, if you're going to be a billionaire, you have to have created something like Oxygen, Water, or Amazon. Anything else, I don't understand how you've done that. But yeah, he's offering women. Basically, I think what he did is he went, paying for sex is too normal. What can I do to sort of take that sort of interaction and make it stranger? So what he's doing is he's offering free IVF for women, but only if they will sire his children. Because all billionaires are narcissists and believe that the world would be a better place if it was populated mainly by sort of mini versions of them.
It's sort of a fun little pocket eugenics, isn't it? The idea that,
exactly.
that their genetic capacity is sufficiently supreme that it will overcome, for example, not having a loving father in the picture.
Yeah. He has 6 children already, doesn't he? So is it 5 or 6 children? So he's already sort of on 5 children. He's already on his way to sort of repopulating the world. Him and Elon Musk, I'm pretty sure, could start a football team now. So yeah, I don't know why that isn't enough for him. But then again, a billionaire not thinking that 5 is enough is hardly surprising.
Maybe he's trying to get a Von Trapp family's worth.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
That's
just
the
the
dream.
love of musical theatre.
Yeah.
James?
I think if Elon Musk started singing in German, no one would be surprised at this point.
It's a beautiful language, James. I don't know what you're...
Look, it's a controversial language for Samoans, but we don't have time to get into that right now. I believe he's under a Durov, just to not confuse our billionaire creeps. He's under arrest in France right now, I believe, because Telegram is an incredibly toxic communication system that seems to be used a lot by white supremacists and terrorists. And he's gone, well, if I'm under arrest, I might as well get breeding. So
I just am envisioning him in a prison cell out the window throwing what appears to be a white dove, but it's just a fistful of cum.
Yeah. He's really gone for the monkey see, monkey do impregnation style there. Just throw your jizz at women.
It's always suspect when someone's trying to create Horcruxes on the fly. You know?
Yeah.
I had no idea that that Telegram was used by white supremacists, and I'm feeling very smug right now that I said I'd never used it earlier.
You passed, Tom. You passed the test.
Yes.
All right. We didn't want to tell you before the podcast started, but you've passed.
Thank goodness.
Telegram sort of styles itself as the Switzerland of apps, of just going, look, we don't take any sides, we don't show anything to police, it's just we're not doing it, like we're just keeping our hands off everything, and we just happen to be accumulating vast quantities of liberated art from people that we're not asking any questions about. I think is the outcome. It's a matter of principle. These are libertarians. They believe you should be able to have free speech, even if the free speech is planning how to bomb a restroom. It's a delightful place. And now there's going to be more of him or not, depending on whether you believe in nature or nurture.
Can I send a message to Pavel Durov in the manner of a telegram? Can I send him a message
please.
just saying, please stop? That's my little bit of telegram humor for you there.
They'll be talking about you on Telegram now.
Oh,
They'll be
damn
talking
it.
about all of you on Telegram now. There'll be a big message list. And they'll be like, we've got to get him. We've got to get Tom. And they'll be like, what does he look like? They'll be like, he's a white Englishman with glasses and a cardigan. And then half of Cambridge is going to be wiped out.
The collateral damage will be worth it if I'm still standing.
Well, I mean, at least he's not as bad as the YouTuber Jonathan Major, who was a Dutch crypto investor who was suspected of fathering more than 550 children and was ordered by the courts to stop donating sperm. So, he's got a long way to go there.
When you have the sperm donation, there's a little, from what I understand anyway, there's a small description that they give of, of the person. Does that include the word billionaire? And do people see that as a positive thing? Because do people know that wealth cannot be genetically passed down unless you know a lot of good tax loopholes and sort of are in direct contact with the person who's donating the sperm?
Or were born in the Middle Ages.
Very true.
I don't think billionaires use sperm banks. I think it's just sperm crypto. They just jack off onto the screen and it just absorbs into the computer.
Your ad section now, because you can't be what you can't buy. And this section of the podcast is brought to you by Windows at Night. Night windows. Sleep like the moon is watching. Are you out of ideas? Do you have a deadline tomorrow? Are you feeling the crushing weight of creativity fatigue? Introducing the Infinite Ad Generator, the world's first AI-powered, endlessly creative marketing tool. Need a catchy jingle? Done! A heartwarming holiday campaign? Easy! A commercial featuring flying cats playing guitars? Why not? Whether it's a luxury soap ad, a cool retirement home for aging boomers who want to seem relevant, or yet another half a glass of water, just input your product ideas and watch as the Infinite Ad Generator crafts the perfect pitch in seconds, tailored to your audience, optimized for every platform. And oh god, sorry, we've run out of batteries. I should mention we're running on batteries made by incinerating baby bunnies, and for whatever reason, it's not bunny baby season right now, so we're having to make do with teenage hamsters. Infinite Ads. Come back to us for a tagline in spring. And this section of the podcast is brought to you by this section of the podcast. You know that thing where you're paying for a service in order that it stops serving you ads and then it starts advertising itself to you just to begin putting the thin end of the wedge into an experience that it will eventually have you paying an additional premium on top of the service to have no ads. And then it will begin serving you congratulatory ads for being so clever and rich that you can afford a barely tolerable experience of the media they're serving you. Yep, that's what this section of the podcast is brought to you by. And that brings us to our meta-commentary section now. This is the news that satirical news outlet The Onion has won an auction in the bankruptcy proceedings of Alex Jones to buy InfoWars, the website that Alex Jones has been using to perpetrate his whatever it is that he's perpetrating for the last way too long. James Nokise, you understand nonsense when you hear it. Can you unpack this story for us?
Well, I must admit, Alice, I was a little bit confused at first because up until this point, I had assumed that this was like a Marvel team-up between satirical websites. I didn't realize that Alex Jones was not, in fact, I have been operating this whole time thinking that like Al Murray's The Pub Landlord, Alex Jones is one of the great satirical characters of our time, a Southern Baptist Sacha Baron Cohen, if you will, who'd set up this wonderfully deranged website, InfoWars, as like a mocking, and then to realize it's real was quite a shock. But then to discover that it was both bankrupt and had been bought by The Onion, the American satirical website, leading to Alex Jones having meltdowns, which I'm just going to read a couple of quotes in his style, and you tell me truth or satire, because since The Onion has purchased this, Jones has gone online and said, at any time, they could literally just shut us off any minute, poof! Now that's the rhythm there is so beautiful. There's a backup studio in the Alex Jones network. We think ahead. This will have a giant Streisand effect. They think we're defeated. We're not defeated. I mean, that's 4 stars, Edinburgh, straight away.
I like how you put on the voice but not the accent.
It's one or the other
Very
with me.
Specific kind of impression there.
Right, Alice, you get the voice, or you get the accent, or you basically get my Samoan father trying to do both. All right, this is the range I'm working in here.
Tom, will you be volunteering to work at the new InfoWars?
I think it sounds delightful. At first, I was going to say, I think you've sent me the wrong link because this is good news. And that's quite strange to receive. And I kept on scanning the article, being like, "Oh no, something like it's going to be bad." Because obviously this is because of the families who were defamed by Alex Jones. And I was like, "Oh, somehow they won't have agreed to this, or it'll be taking money away from them." And I looked into it, and actually they're fully behind The Onion buying InfoWars as well. And I was like, "Oh, okay. No, I think this is just a net positive piece of news." And that feels in this day and age, in the year of our Lord 2024, that does feel quite odd. I guess the only bad news is that this is such bad news for Alex Jones, and I always thought that he looked like a man who it would take one bit of devastating news and he would literally explode. He looks like he's been on the verge of exploding for about 4 years, and I thought, we're going to see it. It's going to be like when people put elastic bands around a melon, and as you put more and more on, you're just waiting for that glorious moment. Sadly, he is still in one piece, but for how long? That's what we've got to ask ourselves. I want to be there when he finally blows.
As a side note, I know exactly what it feels like to be that watermelon.
Of course, twice.
I was getting a photo shoot done for A Passion for Passion, my book, and the associated show and tour, and I was wearing a red corset, which was about 3 sizes too large. So the lady who was fashionable and helpful wrapped elastic bands around my waist to put and it was a very stylish and fashionable sort of Vivienne Westwood, very compressed corset thing. And they're like, wow, your waist goes so tiny. But they failed to remember that the thing about elastic is that it just keeps getting tighter. It doesn't stay at the size you put it. It's elastic.
Yeah.
And after about 15 minutes, I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna pop like a watermelon.
Oh my God. So there was me thinking you were talking about pregnancy, the only other watermelon comparison. But no, you've lived the elastic band nightmare of a proper watermelon.
I've lived both ends of the watermelon.
Yeah.
Just for any of our younger male listeners, pregnancy is not like having a watermelon inside you. We just want to clear that up for our younger male Gargle listeners who are going, it's just like getting a watermelon up there. Don't. But, do you know? And just for anyone unfamiliar, as Americans will know the term, Alex Jones is a piece of shit. Yeah. Just in case people are like, who is this Alex Jones guy? He sounds like comical. He is comical, but he's also a piece of shit, and he's mainly known for spreading the lie on InfoWars that the Sandy Hook massacre of children was staged. And that's part of why so many people genuinely hate him. It's also why when he was looking for financial support to save InfoWars, no one really turned up. Whereas the billionaire who recently purchased The Onion was more than happy to finance grabbing InfoWars. And my favorite part in all of this is that so many of Alex Jones' listeners are so set up to buy conspiracy theories that I generally believe a lot of them won't notice that a satirical website now owns InfoWars. And I think The Onion are good enough that they're going to be running stories just close enough that it seems like InfoWars is still going. And I'm hoping they'll start a conspiracy that Alex Jones has set this all up and is still secretly in charge just to keep the listener base going.
They're going to get their best Alex Jones impressionist to do an Alex Jones impression, which is basically the voice but not the accent. It'll just be James Nokise.
I'd like to announce my new job.
As you're currently in the UK...
The ambassador to InfoWars from...
We do have our own Alex Jones as well, so it is important that you did clarify. There is a Welsh presenter of The One Show, which is a very popular BBC One show, which sort of is a magazine programme, called Alex Jones, who's a lady from Wales and is very nice and very charming. So thank you for clarifying, because there could be some people here thinking we're being very nasty about a very lovely lady who mainly just presents a magazine show about like fundraisers for ill cats and things. So that's good.
I wonder what Alex Jones, the Welsh woman, would sound like.
When you say something like that, James, it sounds like you're winding up to do an impression of Alex Jones doing Alex Jones. But I know you.
At any time, they could literally just shut us off any minute. Poof.
And just for completion's sake, so we've done the other version as well, I'll go, welcome to The One Show. Oh my God, we had a great show for you tonight. You won't believe what's going to happen. We're going to see an ill cat. It's going to be brilliant. And then we're going to talk to Charles Brandreth, who goes to a teddy bear museum. So that's
how do you do the voice and the accent at the same time? It's so good.
Combination.
And that brings us to our reviews section. As you know, each week we ask our guest editors to review something out 5 stars. James Nokise, what have you brought in for us today?
I've bought in New Zealand. Just because, it's always sitting there on the shelf looking nice and clean, but it's always good to just pick it up and shake it around and see what's going on at the moment. New Zealand's been in the international news for a couple of reasons, primarily because a young woman did a haka.
Can't do politics.
It's not politics, it's culture. Okay, I'll skip around anything that could be politics in reviewing New Zealand. Tragically, we lost to France in the rugby in the weekend, which of course brought back memories for many of the 1985 bombing of the Rainbow Warrior by the French government. And then, of course, there's been a march in New Zealand, which is a hikoi. Now, that's where local people get quite agitated and walk a long distance to have a discussion. And that's a very non-political walk. It's one of the grand traditions of New Zealand. When you get angry, you just get your friends and family and you walk it off collectively. And then you go to Wellington, not because that's where Parliament is, but because that's where the best coffee is. And you drink coffee and you talk through all of your issues. And it's not that it's near Parliament, it's that it's a very small city, as you know, Alice, and they've got Parliament and then really nothing. And then Peter Jackson. Those are the two main things in Wellington. So they've been very busy, and without getting into any details about cultural practices in New Zealand, I'm going to give them 3 stars for being active, but not necessarily effective. So there is my very non-political review of Aotearoa New Zealand. Not that name is political either. It's cultural.
Well negotiated.
That's wonderfully done. I give your delicate dance through the minefield that the Gargle has set you of talking about New Zealand without talking about politics. 5 stars out of 5 stars. Tom Neenan, what have you brought in for us this week?
I'm going to review Middle-earth, the least political bit of New Zealand. I'm going to say, first of all, Middle-earth is divided into 2 main sections, which is the good section, which is sort of there's a lot of certainly in the films, Caucasian people live in the good section. I've noticed that. That's sort of unfortunate. And then over here we've got the bad section of Middle-earth, and a lot of the people there have darker skin. So once again, not ideal for this. And I think that is troublesome. We don't know what happens over far in the west. Is it the west of Middle-earth? That's never mentioned. That must be very boring.
I think that's where
indeed.
the elves go when they want to do voluntary euthanasia. I'm pretty sure.
Right. In that case, that's really bad. We don't want that at all. Basically, yeah, I've started by saying Middle-earth is not political, and I've realised it's even more political than New Zealand. It's even more concerning. I am going to give Middle-earth 2 out of 5. While I love the films, it is unfortunate that the bit where the elephants and things come from, that's all quite bad and quite scary, and then the bits where the cows and the lovely blue-eyed children come from, that's supposedly the lovely bit that everyone wants to protect. Yeah, I'd never really thought about this before, but I realised I had this map on my shelf, on my wall, and I thought I'd bring it out, and I've realised that Tolkien's got some issues. Anyway, there you go, 2 out of 5.
It's the gollywog of cartography, my friend.
And that brings us to our creator economy section, beginning with the news, apparently, that people are dropping out of the creator economy like flies. Within the creator economy, there is a reflection of the greater economy at large, as the people up at the top are sucking up all of the brand deals, and the people down the bottom must humbly beg to advertise even a smidgen of pie. Please, sir, may I have another mattress advertisement, they say, pleadingly to their superiors. Tom Neenan, you're a creator. Can you unpack this story for us?
Not only will I unpack it, I'm going to tell you a story. It's of a young man. Him and his brother came from nothing. They worked hard. They created things. And they built up this empire that, like I say, from absolutely nothing, and they worked there. 2 of the best people, morally absolutely upstanding people, and they became creators. But then the creator economy turned on them to such an extent that one of the brothers was forced for money to fight old men for the attention of the world. Those men are the Paul brothers. And that fighter was Jake Paul, who recently, because there's no money in the